Hi there, welcome. Welcome to Gentle Yoga with Melaminah. My name is Melaminah. I will be guiding you through practice today. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we're going to be focusing on the hip area, opening up the hips. This is another popular place where stress and tension can get stored. If you've taken other yoga classes before, you might have heard the instructor say that the hips are the storage house of emotions. And one reason for that is there's a nerve called the vagus nerve. It's the largest nerve in the body where stimulus comes into our body and it's processed through the brain. And those impulses from that stimulus run down the vagus nerve, which goes through the spinal column. And it actually terminates kind of at the bottom of our rib cage. So it stops there, but those sensations, those pulses from that nerve continue into the muscles. And the psoas is here in our hip flexor, actually starts in our back, comes through the transverse abdominis and down into the hip flexor, into the psoas. So this is often an area that's tight in our bodies, and sitting and driving a lot, or even a lot of movement, if we walk a lot or run a lot, can cause this area of our body to become tight. So we'll focus on opening up all parts of our hips today. And as usual, this is Gracie, one of our yoga mascots. She's the one who likes to be on camera the most. So she'll probably be in and out of practice today as well. So let's go ahead and start in a lying down position today. So if you have a blanket or something, you can move that out of the way for the moment. And before you lay down, if you want to grab some books, if you have yoga bricks, you can grab those too. Otherwise, super thick books are really a nice substitute. But do make sure that they're nice and thick and sturdy. If they're too thin, they can be wobbly and unsafe. So do make sure that if you grab books, they're nice and thick and heavy duty books. And you might need a strap or a dish towel today, but maybe not. We'll just kind of play it by ear and see. And if you don't have any of these props, that's okay too. You can still do this practice. We'll just start by bringing the bottoms of the feet together, and let's come into lying on our back. So bottoms of the feet together. If we've got those bricks or books, we can slide them underneath the knees or underneath the thighs for a moment, just so that we're not putting any undue stress or tension on this already maybe sensitive area of the body. So we'll start to let our hips just gradually open. We can roll the shoulders underneath us a little bit, and then anywhere that the hands land is totally fine. If we'd like, we can even bring the hands into a mudra, just curling the fingers in and extending the thumbs out, kind of like we're giving someone 2 thumbs up, and maybe bringing the hands to our sides. This mudra, we don't want to practice this mudra on a full stomach, but any other time is really great for stress relief and for helping to reduce stress in the hip area as well. So let's just come into a comfortable position in our body. This might be the first time all day that we've had to just be. So we'll settle in. If there's any wiggles or movement that still needs to happen, just honoring that, letting that happen as we start to arrive fully on our mat. So letting go of any of the events that have occurred today. And if we're practicing very early in the morning, let's put down our to-do list, knowing that when we're complete with our practice, we can pick up anything that we've put down. And then starting to shift the awareness ever so gently to the breath. Just simply observing, just witnessing the breath as it comes into the nostrils and then flows gently out again. You might even visualize the particles of air coming in through the nose, down through the throat into the lungs. And we might even visualize that reverse journey as the old used up air relieves itself from the lungs back through the air passageways out through the nostrils. And we'll just be here for 2 more cycles of breath, watching the in and outflow of air without judgment, without expectation. After that second breath, we can release the mudra if we still have it. If we have those books or bricks underneath our knees, let's go ahead and slide them off to the side for now. Just noticing if we notice anything in the inner thighs as the knees might gently fall towards the earth a little bit deeper now that the prop is out of the way. And then let's take our hands, just drawing the knees back towards each other. We'll walk the feet about as wide as the mat. And let's just gently swish the knees from side to side. We can windshield wiper the legs to the right and then to the left. Maybe our hands are resting on our body, or maybe we have the hands gently resting on the floor, anywhere that feels comfortable and natural. If we hear any noises in the body, any popping, snapping, as long as there's no pain associated with those noises, just knowing that they're totally normal and letting them happen on their own. And if we don't hear anything, that's okay too. Just gently starting to wake up the hip area, the low back. We'll let the knees fall from one side to the other. One more round. So one more on each side, moving slowly, giving our body time to transition from one side to the next. And then when we're complete with that cycle, let's go ahead and bring the knees back to center, back to neutral. We'll walk the feet a little bit closer towards each other and a little bit closer to the seat as well. Let's take the left ankle just over the left ankle over the right thigh. And we're coming into a figure 4 position. So let's spread the toes on both feet. We'll activate this left foot, pressing through the ball and the heel. And then without using our hands, let's just gently press that left knee away from us. So getting a little bit of strengthening and stretching in that hip flexor muscle already, using the internal muscles to gently press the knee away from us. And if we'd like more, we can lift the right foot away from the floor, maybe slide our hands behind our leg and just gently rock from side to side, or option to stay in stillness, whichever one feels better. Let's keep gently, actively pressing the left knee away, softening the shoulders, softening the jaw, the eyes. Sometimes the upper body tries to help out in this position, but today let's just keep everything soft. And we'll go ahead and release. Let's release the foot away as well, and we'll just find that windshield wipering motion again, just a couple times from side to side. Once we feel nice and even with that, we'll bring the knees back towards the sky, walking the feet in a little bit and then back towards our seat a little. Let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh. And then again, without using hands, without using the prop or anything, just gently pressing the knee open and away. Let's spread through the toes, flexing through the ball and the heel on this right foot as well. So activating from the inside, soft upper body, soft jaw. And then if we want to pull that left knee in towards our chest, we can. We can play with the angle of this left leg. Sometimes it feels nice to have the heel just kind of falling down towards our booty. Sometimes we actually get a nicer stretch if we bring the lower part of our leg kind of parallel to the mat. So just playing around with that. Just notice as we move the left leg around in space, what does that do to the right hip, especially the inside of that right hip, that psoas or hip flexor area. And then notice also, where do you feel sensation in your body? Maybe it was different from the first side, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and release that leg. And we'll uncross the legs as well. And then one more time, let's just windshield wiper the legs from side to side. We'll be exploring the hip area a lot today, but we also include other areas of the body here and there as well. Let's take the legs up into the sky and we'll just create some circles with our ankles here. Doesn't matter which direction we're going, because right now we're going to switch and go the second way. Good. And then let's take the legs up. We'll point and flex just a couple of times, pointing the toes, flexing through the heel. Just giving the back of our leg, the front of our leg, a little bit of love, maybe a couple more circles with the feet. Good, and then let's go ahead and bend the knees, release the feet once again. So we'll keep the feet on the floor about hips width apart. We can even pretend like we're squeezing an imaginary ball. Let's take the arms to the sides and then we'll robot the arms. So the upper arm is down on the floor and then at the elbow we'll bend so that now our fingers are up towards the sky like little robot arms. Big breath here, inhaling. As we exhale, let's scoop the tail and then roll the vertebra all the way up. And on the exhale, we'll roll the vertebra down. Good. So just a couple of spinal rolls here, scooping the tail, lifting up one vertebra at a time, bone by bone, and then exhaling, releasing down, bone by bone. Just a reverse here. We'll do that just a couple more times. Strengthening the legs a little bit and also giving those hip flexors a little stretch out as well. Good. And then this last time, let's hold up at the top. So we might walk our shoulder blades in a little bit more. Maybe this time we bring our palms down to the mat, or we might even interlace our hands underneath us as we give a nice stretch to those hip flexors. Let's imagine the skin of our flesh, the skin of our legs growing out through our knees towards the wall in front of us. So we're creating length in that hip flexor here for one more breath. Good, and then let's roll the spine all the way back down. We can hug the knees in towards the chest, maybe rocking gently from side to side. And then when we're ready, let's go ahead and roll onto our side, making our way up into a seated position. All right, we have made our way up into a seated position. Let's have the legs crossed for a moment. Hands on our knees, we're just gonna create some circles around the hips, around the base of the spine. And let's start to pair this movement with our breath. So inhaling as we come forward and exhaling back. Just a few more times like that. Stirring up any stagnant energy that may be trapped at the base of the spine. And then let's reverse and go the second way. Good. Making this churning motion a little bit on the slower side, not super, super fast. Beautiful. And then we'll go ahead and come to stillness on that. Good work. From here, let's transition onto our knees. We'll make our way into all fours. If we need extra padding underneath the knees, we can go ahead and grab some a blanket or something to support the knee joints while they're on the floor. And then let's spread the fingers nice and wide, pressing all four corners of the palm into the mat. We'll just move our spine around a little bit here, exploring cat and cow. If there's another movement that you prefer, maybe circles or maybe wagging the tail from side to side, feel free to do that as well. We just want to move the spine in space a little bit here, moving with the breath. And then let's go ahead and come back to our all fours. And this time we will just look over our shoulder, take our gaze over our right as we draw the right hip forward. And then let's wag our tail over to the left, looking over the left shoulder as that left hip comes forward. And just a couple more times like that. Feeling the side body working here, a gentle contraction and extension of those muscles. Good work. And then we'll come back to neutral. Okay, so if we've got those yoga bricks or books, now's probably another good time to have them handy. Because from our all fours, let's take our left foot forward in between our hands. So we're coming into a lunge position. Let's really check in with this back knee. Sometimes the back knee ends up straight up and down. That's really hard on the kneecap. So what we want to do instead is slide the leg back enough so that instead we're kind of resting right in front of the kneecap, more on the femur bone. So we'll curl the toes under and inch that leg back a little bit so that now we're creating a nice deep diagonal line with this leg rather than being in a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. We've got a 45 instead. Here's where those books might come in handy, maybe one book under each hand, walking them back so that our shoulders are stacked right on top of our hips. And let's make sure that our knee, our front knee, is right on top of the ankle, helping to further protect that knee as well. Let's scissor the legs in towards each other just a little bit. So rather than crashing into our connective tissue, there's a gentle engagement here, feeling the pelvis lifting gently up, shoulders relaxed and down, the jaw is relaxed as well. We're welcome to stay here. If we want a little bit more, maybe we release the books and just place our hand on our thigh, that front thigh, or maybe we even sweep the arms up, the biceps right beside the ears. We get to choose our options in our practice always. So always listening in, doing what feels best. If our arms are extended, maybe we take this into a little side bend. We can flip our right palm towards the sky. Let's hold around that wrist and then dive over towards the left. Deepening into that hip flexor area. Nice big long stretch through the whole right side of the body here. Pressing out through our palm, shoulders down away from the ears. And then inhaling, coming back up. Let's bring both hands inside our front leg. We'll walk our front foot open a little bit. So taking our left foot more towards the left side of our mat. Let's point the toes or angle the toes more at like a 45-degree angle here. And then hands are either on our books or bricks or even directly on the mat. Let's inhale, lengthening the spine. And maybe we stay right here today. Let's keep hugging the left knee in towards the midline, Or if we want more, we can lower down to our forearms, maybe directly on the mat or onto those books or bricks. Wherever we are, let's see if we can lengthen the heart. So it's natural for us to want to round our back here, but today let's see if we can lengthen the spine, keep the spine nice and long and flat instead, and then really breathe into that hip flexor area. This is a deep opener for this hip. We might even rock gently from side to side. Good work. On our next breath, let's take an inhale back to our hands. And then on the exhale, we'll keep the left leg out towards the side. Let's reach the hips towards the wall behind us and just gently fold over that front leg. We can have both hands inside the leg or one hand on either side, straddling the leg, whatever feels better. Breathing into the back of the leg here, the hamstring. In Ardha Hanumanasana, half hamstring stretch. Also known as half split. Good, breathing. We're here for 2 more cycles of breath. So on the inhale, lengthening the spine. On the exhale, maybe bowing in just a tiny, tiny bit more. Breathing into any tightness. Good. So let's inhale, lift up just a little bit, and we'll kind of rotate our leg in our socket here. So tipping our pinky toe towards the floor and then the big toe, they don't have to touch. We're just kind of making a little rainbow with our toes. And then let's make sure this foot is active. So the toes are curling back towards our face. We're pressing through the ball and the heel. And then keep all that as we drop the pinky toe towards the floor. It probably won't touch, and that's okay. But let's take a lot of energy into that big toe mound. Keep pressing that toe away as the toes curl towards our knee. And then if we want more, we might even walk our hands over towards the left side, leaning the hips over towards the right. Deepening into that IT band, the outer thigh area on this extended leg. Good. Let's inhale back to center, and we'll take that leg behind us. Maybe some cat and cow here, or child's pose is an option. If we'd like to catch our breath, kind of reset in child's pose, we're welcome to do that. If there's any other movement of the spine we wish to explore, we can do that too. Just taking a moment or two here in between sides. Good. And then when we're ready, we'll make our way back into all fours, and let's go ahead and explore that second side. So we'll bring the right foot forward this time. Right knee directly on top of the ankle. Let's wiggle the left knee back a little bit more. So we are deepening into that diagonal line on the back knee. Really getting into that space of the hip flexor here. And then maybe we use our books or bricks to keep our spine upright for a moment. So there is a tiny little back bend happening in this posture. The hips are melting towards the floor. The shoulders are drawing back over the hips, and you can see I've got a little back bend going on. So if that is hurting your low back at all, let's think about scooping the tailbone even more and then softening into the hips. That gentle scissoring of the legs towards each other, softening the shoulders, softening the jaw, softening the eyes. And then let's see if we can take some of the weight out of the hands. So we might be kind of using the books a little bit as a crutch. So let's see if we can soften our hold on the books a little bit, softening the upper body, maybe even eliminating the books completely and just resting our hands on our front thigh. And if we chose to on the first side, maybe we take the arms up on this side as well. drawing the arms back beside the ears as best as we can, knowing that if we can't make it there today, that's okay. If we chose that side bend, let's flip our left palm towards the sky, holding around the wrist. Big inhale to lengthen, exhale, diving over towards the right. Really big opening for the left side of the body here, all the way from the knee up through the palm of the hand. And then an inhale brings us back to center, and exhale, let's bring both hands to the mat. Opening up here, so walking our right foot over towards the right edge of our mat. Let's angle the toes out so it's more protective of our knee. So toes kind of at a 45-degree angle, both hands inside our front leg, inhaling to lengthen. Maybe this is it. Maybe we're right here today. Just practicing a nice long spine, heart forward, shoulders back, right knee hugging in. There's no destination in any of our poses. The only thing we're looking for is sensation. So once we've found that place of sensation, of feeling, that's it. We can hang out right there, breathing into it, seeing if we can open up that space even more with the breath. Beautiful work. If we chose to come onto our forearms before, we can. Whatever we did on the first side, seeing if we can do that on this second side as well. Keeping the spine long for one more breath. And then inhaling, coming out of the pose. On the exhale, let's take the hips back towards the wall behind us. So both hands either inside this front leg, or if we prefer, we can straddle this leg, but let's keep the leg wide. So the heel is still kind of over towards the edge of our mat a bit, spreading the toes, pressing the heel down into the floor, and then energetically drawing that heel towards the body, activating this leg, creating an opening in the hamstring on the back of the leg here. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, exhaling, melting just a little bit further. It might be an inch, it might be a centimeter, it might be a millimeter. That part doesn't matter. And then let's find that rainbow here, just a gentle movement, a gentle rocking of our right foot from side to side. Doesn't have to be a very big movement. We're just rotating the bone in the socket, that's all. Sometimes when we work the hips, emotions might arise. So if that happens to you or for you at any time in practice, just know that that's normal. And that's our body's way of releasing those emotions that may have been stuck in our cells and in our muscles for a while. The next time the pinky toe comes towards the floor, let's pause there. Let's keep spreading through the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel. And then if we want more, we can take the hands over towards that right side as we breathe into the into the IT band. This might be a little bit of a spicy area, so smile when you feel it. And any emotions that might arise that might look like anger or sadness or frustration, it might even be joy, happiness. If something comes up for us today, let's just release it without judgment. Just witnessing it, watching it happen, letting it go with grace. And we'll bend our knee. Let's come back to the front. We'll walk our foot over to the side and make our way back into our all fours. And we'll take a rest in child's pose. If we prefer to move our spine, we can. Otherwise, we'll take the big toes together at the back of our mat, widening our knees, maybe resting our forehead on a brick or the floor. We can rock or stay in stillness in our child's pose. Any version that feels good as we reconnect to our breath. Beautiful. Let's take an inhale to come back to our all fours once again. And we're going to make our way into a standing position. So if downward facing dog is in your practice, we're going to move through downward dog. If you prefer to just come to standing in whatever way makes sense to you and your body, go ahead and do that now. If we're moving into down dog, let's go ahead and walk the hands forward just a little bit. We'll curl the toes under, big breath inhaling, exhaling, sending the hips into the sky, maybe walking our dog a little bit, bending one knee at a time. And then inhaling both heels up, exhaling, receding those heels down towards the earth. Let's keep lifting the hips, pressing the heart backwards towards the thighs, maybe even shaking the head gently, yes and no. Releasing the head and neck here. And then taking as many steps as we need to find a forward fold, soft knees. We have done a little bit for the hamstrings, but not a whole terribly lot. So let's keep the knees nice and soft to protect the hamstrings. We can release the head, maybe even holding the hands inside the elbows. We can rock gently from side to side as we let the spine trickle over the legs, creating space between each bone. And then let's release the hands. We'll bring the hands to the hips, get strong in the legs, press the feet through the floor. Inhale, coming all the way up with a nice long spine. Good, beautiful work. Okay, so let's give ourselves a moment. Sometimes I know I get really lightheaded whenever I come from a forward folded position. So just taking a moment to pause and let our body come back into equilibrium. If that happens for you, just know that sometimes that's, what happens for some of us. It's normal. It's very natural. So just taking your time. And we're going to come into a balancing pose. So let's first start in mountain. We'll take our feet right underneath our hips, spreading the toes like wildfire. Let's even pick the toes up for a moment and just feel the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and the heel dig down into the floor. So feeling all three of those touch points in contact with the earth. And then let's soften the toes back down. Good. We'll drop the tailbone down, feel a gentle lift of the pelvic floor in and up. Let's roll the shoulders down and away. We can turn the palms forward towards the wall in front of us. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. Nice, long, beautiful spine. All right. So from Tadasana, mountain pose, we're going to explore tree pose today. So let's shift the weight slightly to the right foot. And just notice that as you shift the weight, if you start to kind of crash into this hip, sometimes that happens. If that happens for you, no big deal. We'll just think about pressing the foot into the floor and also lengthening through the crown of the head simultaneously. So we keep hugging this hip in. And then let's bend the left knee. We'll take the left knee open towards the side and just rest the heel on the ankle of the right leg. Maybe this is our pose. Maybe we stay right here today. Just noticing the balance challenge even here, even with our toes on the floor. If we want more, we can take the foot below the knee, or maybe we can assist the foot up above the knee. This left knee, let's open it out towards the left side as best we can. And then hands to our heart space. When we're ready, extending our branches into the sky, shoulders down, heart open, fingers spreading wide, choosing one spot to look at on the wall in front of us, or maybe really far out on the floor in front of us. One more breath as we strengthen that standing leg and open the bending knee to the side. And then hands back down to our heart space, returning both feet to the mat. Beautiful job. Before shaking it out, let's just pause for a moment and feel what we feel. Notice those sensations. And then we can release our hands, open our eyes, and just give our legs a little shake. So if we're practicing at home, we can always come over to a wall to help with our balance. preferably an unobstructed wall. Or you can use the coffee table or something, or your dining table, couch, whatever's high enough to support your hand on and help with your balance. That's totally fine. So let's explore tree pose on the second side. We'll take the feet forward once again, parallel to each other, right underneath the hips. And then let's roll the shoulders down, drop the tail, anchor it down, grow tall through the spine. We'll shift the weight slightly towards the left foot. And notice that as we shift the weight, we have to start pressing our foot into the floor, growing tall through the crown of the head as we free this right foot away from the mat. That way we don't crash into this hip. We want to keep hugging that hip in. Toes on the floor to start with. And then if we want more, maybe foot below the knee, maybe foot up above the knee, wherever we are today. And then let's press this standing leg into the foot just as much as that foot is pressing into the standing leg. Notice the ankle. Notice any movement. And also notice that balance is a series of movements. It's not a static experience. Maybe hands float to the heart center. And then when we're ready, we can extend those branches wildly into the sky, spreading fingers, receiving nutrients from the earth and the sky, from the sun, drinking it in as we open that right hip up to the side of the room. And when we're complete, hands down to our heart space, and we may use our hand to gently assist our foot all the way to the floor, and let's pause. Hands might be to our sides, maybe hands in front of our heart space. Just noticing, without judgment, without competition, without expectation. Blinking the eyes open, let's give our legs a little bit of a shake, shaking out any of that tension we might have brought in while we were balancing. Okay, beautiful. Excellent job. We're going to do one more standing pose, and then we'll make our way onto the mat once again. So let's turn to face the short edge of our mat, and we'll step our right foot forward, and we'll take our left foot back. So we've got maybe 3 feet in between our feet. Today, let's take our feet wide on the mat. So we've got a nice stable base underneath us. This back foot is going to turn forward on those toes. And then let's really press the heel down into the mat. Front leg is straight for the moment. We'll bring our hands to our hips. Let's scoop the tailbone under, roll the shoulders down, big breath here, and then exhaling, bending into that front knee. Excuse me. So just like we did earlier with that knee right on top of the ankle, let's find that alignment again. Knee on top of ankle, toes are spreading. Back leg fired up. Sometimes we are so focused on what's in front of us, we forget about what's behind us or even right next to us. That's true in life as well, right? So just remembering this part of our body as well. So firing up this leg, firing up this glute, shoulders down. Coming into warrior one. Let's inhale, arms up, biceps beside the ears. And then if we want a balance challenge, we can come up onto the toes, come up onto the ball of the foot. Let's keep scooping the tail. And just notice what that does to this hip flexor here. Just a little bit of a different sensation. And now we've got that little balance challenge as well for one more breath. Good. If that heel is lifted, let's rotate it back down, and then we'll bring the hands back down to our hips, and we're simply going to switch sides. So we're going to need to readjust the feet. Let's open the right foot towards the right, the left foot towards the left. Nice, wide, stable base. And then let's tune into the hips here. So we're going to draw the left hip back as the right hip travels forward. Fire up this back leg, squeeze the glutes, squeeze skin to muscle, muscle to bone, press down through the heel, big breath, and then exhaling, bending into that front knee. Left knee directly on top of left ankle, shoulders down. And then inhaling, drawing the arms up. Warrior one on the second side. If we want that balance challenge, we'll come up onto the ball of the foot. Notice there's a slight rotation that happens. So before our heel was kind of down, now our heel is floating over the ball of the foot. Let's keep scooping that tail and deepening into that hip flexor here. One more breath, everyone, you got it. Good. Heel releases, and then hands to hips. Let's turn to face the long edge of our mat. Feet nice and wide, and then we'll bring the feet together, heel toes, heel toes. Wonderful. So we're gonna come back down to the mat. If you want to go through downward dog, you can. If you prefer to just come to a seated position, please do that. I'm gonna demonstrate through downward dog. So we'll bring hands to the mat, stepping back, downward facing dog. And then let's bring knees to the earth. We'll all find child's pose for a breath. Good. Let's go ahead and inhale. We'll come all the way back up. Beautiful job. Okay. So the next posture that we're going to go into is going to be pigeon pose. We've got two options. If pigeon pose feels good in our body, let's do it. It's great. If pigeon pose is challenging for us in the sense that it's really hard on the knees, we can come back to that figure 4 position lying down on our back. So I'll demonstrate both of those. If we're moving into pigeon pose, let's come into a lunge with the left foot forward, and then we'll walk the left foot over towards the right side of the mat, bringing our leg down. We're looking for about a 90-degree angle, but we can make adjustments if we need to. Let's just make sure that our left knee is outside our hip. So that knee is closer to the edge of our mat than our hip is. We'll spread the toes on both feet, especially pressing through the big toe mound of that front foot. Inhaling, lengthening the heart. Exhaling, maybe folding forward. We can stack our fists and rest our forehead here, or we can bring our chest a little farther down and rest here, whatever feels good in our body. So only going as far as we need to today. The second option is to come onto our back and simply cross that left ankle over the right leg, and then maybe we hug the knee to the chest for reclining pigeon or figure 4. So choosing the option that feels best in our body. And also knowing that if we get into one posture and decide after a breath or two that this isn't really serving us, we're welcome to change it. We're welcome to make adjustments. Our practice is about finding openness in our body in a compassionate, gentle, and kind way. Our practice is not meant to force us into any shape that causes pain. Pain is our body's way of letting us know that there's a problem, that something needs to be tended to. So if at any time we're feeling discomfort, that's okay. Discomfort means that we're just getting into those spaces that need a little bit of TLC. But any kind of sharp pain, that's a warning flag. That's our body's way of saying that we need to make a big adjustment and quickly. If we're in pigeon pose, let's inhale, lift the head. We'll walk our feet, or excuse me, our hands back up. And then let's lean over towards the left and sweep our right leg forward. We'll just find a seated pose for a moment, Dandasana. If we're in reclining pigeon, we can sit up for a moment and extend the legs forward out towards the space in front of us. Let's bring our hands to our sides. We'll hug the elbows back. Just notice how that lifts the heart gently, pressing the palms into the floor. We can also use fists on the floor as well. spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel, pressing the thighs down. So we might feel the heels lift away from the earth for us. If that happens, that's cool. If not, that's okay too. One more breath here. And then let's go ahead and gently release. Second side. So if we did reclining pigeon the first side, let's go ahead and lay down. If we were in forward facing pigeon, we'll transition into that. So sweeping the left leg back behind us, we'll bring our front leg into about a 90-degree-ish position. Doesn't have to be perfect. Pressing through the ball of the foot. Let's really take our time to get into the pose, making sure that the hips are facing down towards the mat. Sometimes we might even need to place a brick or a blanket underneath this hip to support it a little bit so that we don't accidentally kind of roll onto it. We want it to be, we want both hip bones to be facing towards the floor. So we'll inhale, lifting, exhaling, folding into any depth that feels good for us. And if we're in reclining pigeon, setting ourselves up there as well. Full deep cycles of breath. With each exhale, seeing if we can let go of any holding that might be happening. Softening the jaw, softening the tissue around the hip. And then on our next breath, let's go ahead and walk the hands back towards our leg. If we're in pigeon, forward facing, we'll lean over towards the right and extend, sweep our leg around. Let's extend the legs out in front once more. If we were on our back, we can roll to one side, help ourselves up, and we'll all meet up in Dandasana, staff pose. Nice long spine, shoulders over the hips, hands beside our hips. Let's spread the toes and then gently draw the elbows backwards towards the space behind. A gentle lift of the heart, pressing the hands into the floor, lifting through the crown. Last breath here. Good. Let's go ahead and release. Beautiful job, everyone. Okay, so let's make our way onto our belly. I'm gonna turn this way for this next one. So we'll be on our belly. We can have our hands underneath us if we'd like, and then let's just bend the right knee out towards the side. So the knee is in alignment with the hip, the ankle right underneath the knee. And as best we can, again, the front of the hip bones down towards the earth. So we might need to walk that right knee out towards the side a little bit more. The left leg straight behind us. And then we can cactus the arms. Left ear to the ground is going to be a little bit more gentle for the neck. Or if we want a deeper twist, we can bring our right ear to the ground and just soften into the floor. A gentle opening for the inner thigh, the inner groin. The front of the body gently pressing into the earth, feeling held, heartbeat to heartbeat with Mother Earth. We'll bring our gaze back to center, and let's go ahead and take that right leg behind us, and we'll switch sides. So taking the left knee out to the side, ankle right underneath that knee, flattening our pelvis into the floor, as best as we can. And then right ear to the mat will be more gentle. Left ear to the mat will be a deeper twist for the spine. And then just enjoying the support of the floor for a couple of breaths. And let's go ahead and turn the head back to center, extending the left leg back behind us. We'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders and gently press ourselves back. Let's come to kneeling on the lower leg. From here, if we'd like, we can curl the toes underneath us and give a little stretch of the bottom of our foot. Let's keep anchoring the tailbone down. If that doesn't feel good for our feet, we can just keep the feet uncurled. And if we're just here with the toes uncurled, we'll bring the hands behind our back and give ourselves a little heart opener. Wrists together, elbows drawing in towards each other, activating the back of our arm, squeezing skin to muscle, muscle to bone for a little heart opener here. One more breath wherever we are. If the toes are curled under, we can add on this heart opener as well. And then let's go ahead and gently release. Okay, so this next posture, we'll take it really slowly. So being gentle. Let's bring the hands to the floor for a moment. Knees are going to be really close to each other. And then we'll slide the left knee forward and then cross that knee. My hair might be in the way, but cross the left knee in front of the right knee. We're moving into cow face pose. So the farther away we move our feet, the deeper the pose. So if we want less intensity, we'll bring the feet closer and start to sit back. This is another great place for a book or a brick. We can sit directly on that and come into this posture. Now, we want the knees to be as closely stacked one on top of each other as possible, but we're probably going to need to move some flesh out of the way. And if you're like, yeah, right, Melaminah, that pose is just not going to happen for me today, it's okay. We'll just come into Sukhasana, and I'll show you that in a minute. We've been there a million times. So for those of us who are going into cow face pose, we can sit up on something, sit up on a brick or a book or something. And then let's move the right hip over to the right side so that both sitting bones are equally down on the floor. And then we can be here. If we need more, we can walk the feet apart and or we can start to fold forward. If we fold forward, let's keep a long spine, heart extends. So a heart leads and then breathing into the outer hip. Okay. For those of us who are like, yeah, right, not happening, that's okay. We're gonna come into, we can move our brick out of the way. We'll come into Sukhasana. This is a lot of times how we start practice. So maybe we're here today and just folding forward. We still get a nice opening in the outer hips, just in this quote unquote easy pose, Sukhasana pose. We can deepen into this stretch by using our fingertips, pressing our fingertips down to release our tail, our seat backwards, and then fold a little bit deeper. So we get to choose how intense our practice is each and every posture. If we're wherever we are, let's take an inhale, bringing our hands back up. If we're in cow face pose, we'll come up onto our hands again. Let's release the knees and either sitting back for a moment, or we can all just take a moment in Sukhasana. And just breathe. Just notice what you notice, feel what you feel, and releasing any kind of competition, whether it be with yourself or me or an imaginary person that you think you should be emulating, just letting all that go. Just being exactly where you are right now. Good. Let's go ahead and blink the eyes open, and we'll find that that pose on the second side. So if we're here in Sukhasana, we'll bring the right foot forward, right foot forward, hands in front, inhaling, lengthening, exhaling, folding in. If we're moving into cow face on the second side, we'll have knees super close together, hands on the floor. Let's take the right knee forward and then cross it over. So maybe we've got that brick underneath us or a big, nice, thick book, and we're sitting back. We might need to make adjustments. So if we feel pulling, sometimes I feel like a pull on my skin, and we can just take our hands and rotate the skin. So I'm drawing the inner thigh down and the outer thigh out from underneath so that there's no pinching sensation. And then we can walk the knees one on top of each other and be here. Maybe this is enough. This is a really intense pose already. So if we're here, great. If we need more, we can walk the hands forward, nice long spine. And then same thing for those of us who were in Sukhasana. We can use our hands to press our tush back towards the ground and then lengthen and fold a little bit more. Noticing what's happening for you in your body and your mind. What are the thoughts that are coming up? What does the inner chatter sound like? Is it kind? Does it serve you? If not, letting it go. Even imagining like you're opening up a window and those thoughts, those negative thoughts, that negative inner chatter just blows right out the window. And then let's take an inhale. We'll come all the way back up. Good. If we're in cow face pose, let's come forward and then release that knee. We'll move the brick out from underneath us if we have it. And we'll all meet up in Sukhasana with the right foot in front. Just breathing for a moment. Noticing the hips, noticing the heart. Noticing the thoughts, the inner chatter. Letting go of anything that doesn't serve. And let's blink the eyes open. Good work, everyone. All right, we're gonna come onto our spine. So let's bend the knees. We'll hold on to the back of one leg and come onto our back. Let's hug our knees in towards our chest. Give ourselves a big hug for all of the hard work that we've done today. Some of our poses were not very easy. Some of them were pretty challenging today. And so let's just celebrate wherever we were in the pose. Because wherever we were, it means that we were taking care of our body. We were listening in, and we were doing the shape, practicing the posture that felt best in that moment. Let's take the feet up towards the sky. Let the knees bend. So we're going to take the knees on the outside of the torso. Let gravity gently pull them down. Let's bring the arms inside the legs and hold the outside edge of the foot or the ankle, or we can even kind of hug around the knees here if that feels best for us. Making our way into happy baby. We can rock gently, maybe kicking the legs out one at a time, bending and straightening, just like a happy little baby would. And taking a couple of breaths in this inverted pose. Anytime the legs are above our heart, we're inverted. That's really healthy for our circulatory system. Letting the blood return from the legs to be recycled in through our hearts, re-oxygenated, and then sent throughout the rest of the body once again. All right, everyone, good work. Let's bring the legs back together. We'll bring the feet to the floor once again. And let's find that same pose that we started our practice with. So bottoms of the feet together in butterfly pose, lying down butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. Maybe we still need the bricks or books, or maybe not. Maybe just noticing any difference from when we started practice to now. There's no right or wrong. We're just simply noticing, just taking some inventory. Just seeing if we've created any space in our hips today through our practice. We're going to do one more part of our practice before we move into Shavasana. So this is called a psoas release technique. There are several, but this one that we're going to do today, the one we're going to practice right now, is from this butterfly pose. And what we're going to do is press the bottoms of the feet strongly together so that we start to feel a little bit of an activity in our hip flexor. And then from there, we'll lift the knees just a little bit higher. So if we were completely relaxed, just do that for a moment. Completely relaxed, just notice. Notice where the knees are in relation to the earth. Notice how the feet feel. And then we'll take some activity again, pressing the bottoms of the feet together. Notice the knees come up a little bit. Notice a little bit of tension. We might even notice shaking. We might even notice the legs start to kind of flap a little bit, almost like our legs were flying, like a little butterfly. All of this is normal. All of this shaking or vibrating is the muscle intuitively releasing stress and tension. And then let's relax again. Just let the knees fall wherever they're going to fall. Let the feet be soft, the legs be soft, the upper body be soft. This psoas release technique helping us to release stress and tension that has been stored in our hips. And we'll press the feet together one more time. Feel that gentle lift, that gentle engagement, the knees rising away from the earth. And maybe we start to bring the knees a little bit higher, just a little bit, maybe an inch or two. We want that shaking feeling. So if we notice any shaking or vibrating, that's what we want. We want that muscle fibrillation to help shake the muscles free of stress and tension. We might feel it very internally, like a vibrating, or we might notice it very externally, like a little flapping of our legs, just letting it happen. Any thoughts, any emotions that arise, they're all normal. They're all natural, just letting them come and letting them go. And if nothing comes at all, that's okay too. Let's go ahead and soften. Just let the knees fall to the sides. We've got one more round. Good work. Pressing the bottoms of the feet, lifting the knees slightly, and then dialing in what feels best for us. So starting to see what angle of the knees will give us the most vibrating, the most muscle shaking. Let the belly relax. Let the upper body be soft, the jaw soft, the eyes soft, maybe they're even closed. And then letting go. Good work. We can lengthen the legs out towards the space in front of us. Actually, let's bend the knees first and let the knees fall in like a little teepee. So we'll take the feet nice and wide and let the knees fall in. This is psoas neutral. So we might notice some vibrating still happening. That's okay. Eventually it should calm down in a little bit. If we want that vibrating, we can keep the knees apart and let it shake a little bit longer and then move into psoas neutral. We can stay here if we prefer to end our practice in this psoas neutral position. We can end our practice here. If we prefer traditional shavasana, We can take the legs out, let the feet flop open. We'll roll the shoulder blades under and then spin the palms towards the sky, softening the eyes. Taking one cleansing breath in through the nose. Open mouth exhale. Letting everything go. Spending a few moments in our most important posture, Shavasana. If you would like to remain in Shavasana longer, please do. And if you're ready to complete your practice, let's begin to deepen the breath, feeling the belly rise and fall gently with each breath. Keeping this sense of calm and peace and inner stillness, let's begin to whisper gentle movement into fingers and toes. And when you're ready for more, circling wrists and ankles, maybe even exploring a full body stretch, taking the arms overhead, the feet forward, letting the back arch away from the earth. And when you're ready, let's bend both knees and roll gently to one side, pausing for a breath here. Noticing and acknowledging and celebrating if there have been any shifts or changes or transformation during practice today. And with as little effort as possible, making our way back up into seated, softening the eyes once again as we unite the hands together in front of the heart space. Let's bow the chin towards the chest in a symbol of gratitude for this opportunity to move our bodies, to be on our mat, to practice in some semblance of community. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. Thank you for practicing yoga. May our yoga practice be an opportunity for us to gracefully and easily release tension, stress, trapped emotions that have been stored inside the body. Let them fall away with grace and ease so that we may be renewed, energized, and opened to new experiences, new space, new possibilities. Namaste. Good work. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or interpretive dances, you can leave them as a comment below, or feel free to reach out to me at melaminah.com. If you feel called to give a donation for this practice today, thank you so much. You can do so on my website, melaminah.com. There's a button in the upper right-hand corner that says Donate Now. Just click on that and feel free to add whatever amount feels good and doable for you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing with others. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.